Hello, my name is Becca, welcome back to my channel, and today I have my September book haul for you all. So first of all, I know what you're going to say, after the ridiculousness of last month's haul, I wasn't supposed to have one this month. However, I just want to justify myself a little bit by saying of the physical books in this haul, there are some ebooks. I only paid for one of them, the rest were free, and who can turn down free books? And secondly, main reason that I said that I wasn't going to be buying any books is because I was running out of space for them, but if you watch my video from last week or the week before, you'll see that I did an unhaul, so I now have space for more books. And also thirdly, half of this haul is ebooks and they don't take up any space, so I feel like I can buy as many as I want of those. So now that I've explained my terrible behaviour, let's just get straight into the haul. So let's start out with the only physical book that I actually bought this month, and that is Northern Lights by Philip Pullman. I didn't intend to buy these because I was just going to listen to the audiobooks at work because I'm listening to middle grade audiobooks while I'm working. But the cover is really pretty and it was in like the Tesco charity table, so I paid like £1 for it. This is about a little girl called Lyra and she has like an animal shape-shifting, I think it shape-shifts. And it's like an animal companion and she goes on an adventure to save a kidnapped friend, I think. I don't really know much about the books because I have never read them. I saw the film maybe once, but I did play the game on Wii, which was good, surprisingly. But yeah, I'm just excited. They seem like a nice light-hearted middle grade adventure novel and they sound great. Okay, so the next stack of books that I have are books that my friend had that were mine that I forgot that he had and he gave them back to me. The first one is The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. This is about a young man in the late 1800s who wants to be young forever, so he has a portrait commissioned for him and he sells his soul for eternal youth so that the painting grows old instead of him. And it's essentially just about the repercussions of this and how eternal youth isn't all it's cracked up to be and immortality isn't always desirable. Next I have Shock of the Fall by Nathan Filer. This is an adult contemporary book, so it is not the sort of thing that I normally read, but I got it from a charity shop like at least a year ago, and the reason that I picked it up is because of the blurb, which I'll read to you, and you can't tell me that it doesn't sound intriguing. I'll tell you what happened because it will be a good way to introduce my brother. His name's Simon. I think you're going to like him, I really do, but in a couple of pages he'll be dead and he was never the same after that. How could you not want to read that? I have no idea what it's about other than that, but I'm excited to find out. The next three are books that I read a while ago and my friend was reading them, but I think he's given up on the series, and they are Spiritbound, Blood Promise and Last Sacrifice by Rochelle Mead, and they're the last three books in the Vampire Academy series. I really enjoyed these books for a vampire book. Like, they're not my favourites, but they were alright. And yeah, they've been missing from my shelves for a while, so I'm glad that he finally decided to give them back. So my next stack are books that my friend was unhauling, so I sort of took them off his hands like a good friend would. The first one is Talon of the Silver Hawk by Raymond E. Feist. This is the first book in a fantasy series. I have no idea what it's about. I've heard of Raymond E. Feist, but never read one of his books. And I do want to read more adult fantasy, and my friend didn't want it anymore, so I thought I would take it and see what it's about. I read the blurb, but it doesn't really tell me much, so I might give it a try, or I might just end up unhauling it. But it's worth having anyway in case I do decide to pick it up. The next book is Dead and Gone by Charlaine Harris. This is the only book in the Sookie Stackhouse series that I didn't have. So I'm so glad that I finally managed to get it off him, because it's one of those series where there's so many books that I can never remember which one that I didn't have. So every time I would go out and see them secondhand, I couldn't find the one that I was missing. But now I've finally got it. I don't really intend to read this series anytime soon. I just sort of collected them a long time ago and now I have so many, I feel like I have to at least give them a try. But it's good to have a complete collection. The Sookie Stackhouse series is about vampires and werewolves. The TV show True Blood is based on it, and this is one of the TV sort of revamped covers. I didn't watch the TV show, and I did try and read the first book a long time ago, and I couldn't get into it, but I'll give it another go. The next book is a book that I'm really excited to read because I recently watched the film, and that is Fight Club by Chuck Palahniuk. This is the story of a guy who is friends with another guy called Tyler Durden, who creates this fight club where sort of your average everyday men can go and let off steam, and it's shut up. And it's essentially about this guy's relationship with Tyler Durden and all of the things that are happening. And yeah, I'm not going to say much more because I don't want to spoil it. Next I have Specials by Scott Westerfeld. This is the last book in the Ugly series that I need, or is it called Pretties? I don't remember. But it is a dystopian about a society where people are split into like pretties and uglies. I'm not sure if it's like physical looks or whether you can be made to be pretty if you're born ugly. I just know it was a popular series when I bought the first book and I still haven't read it. Next we have Paper Towns by John Green. I have read this before, but I just didn't own it, and my friend got the special limited edition cover or something, so he gave me his original one. This is about a guy called Quentin who is in love with the girl who lives across the street. They used to be friends when they were younger, but as teenagers they're very different people. He's a bit nerdy, she's really popular. And one day she disappears and he goes on this epic road trip with, I think, her best friend and his best friend to go and find her. Next I have Every Day by David Levithan. This is a story about a boy who wakes up in a different body every day. I don't know whether it's sort of magical realism and that's literal, or whether he has like a mental illness like schizophrenia or something like that, because I know it's a contemporary. I didn't know that it was about like a fantasy sort of setting. I've never read a David Levithan book and I thought I'd give it a try, even though contemporary isn't my favourite genre. Okay, so let's move on to my ebooks. The first 4 I received as ARCs from NetGalley. Kind of a funny story. I signed up to NetGalley because I'm a booktuber now, so I guess I'm entitled to be there. And I thought it was really difficult to get ARCs, so I requested lots of books that I sort of liked the sound of, and I ended up getting 4 when I didn't think I'd get any. So yeah. The first one that I received is the one that I actually really wanted, and that is Invictus by Ryan Gordon. I'm very nearly finished with this. I'm about 80% through, and it came out I think on the 19th of this month, so I'm a little bit late, but I did only get it a week in advance. Invictus is about a 18-year-old boy called Farway who is a bit of an anomaly. He lives in a society where people can time travel. I think the year is something like 2300 and something, and there are people called recorders who time travel into the past to record what happened, so to give the present day world a better understanding of the historical events. This is a society where people don't have fresh ingredients anymore. There's no flowers. Bees did become extinct and then time travelers brought them back, so it is a very futuristic setting. And Farway McCarthy is the son of a renowned time traveller called Emperor McCarthy, who mysteriously vanishes when he's 7 years old. Farway himself is a bit of an anomaly because he was born outside of time and his father was a gladiator. This relationship is forbidden because you're not allowed to alter the course of history, but Emperor crossed that line anyway. They never made it back to the present day for his birth, and he was born in the void between the past and the present day. This is essentially just a story of the repercussions and the consequences of him being born outside of time, and it's an epic time travel adventure. The first location that you go to time traveling is the Titanic, just before it's about to sink, and so far I think it's really great, and I'm not going to say much more about it because I will include it in my wrap up. Next I received Starlings by Jo Walton. I believe Jo Walton is a reasonably well-known fantasy author, and this is a collection of, I think, poetry and short stories, although I don't know what any of them are about yet, and I think it's set to be released in January 2018. I also received a book called Dead of Night by Carlisle Labouchaine. This has been released a while, so I don't really understand NetGalley yet, like why there's old books on there. But it is about a society where I'm not sure if you're not allowed to fall in love or you're not able to, and I believe it's about somebody who does fall in love. The last arc that I received from NetGalley is called Atlantis, The King's Return. It is by D.K. Combs. This I'm not too sure what it's about. I believe it's about a mermaid and a sea monster. Very watery, very nautical, very fantastical. I just kind of like the sound of it. And next I have the ebooks that I purchased this month. Doesn't count as not buying books because they don't go on my shelves, so I don't know how I'm going to justify this, but I'm trying to. The first one that I got was Ever the Hunted by Erin Summerall. I'm not sure what this is about, but I added it to my Goodreads to read not long ago. I think it's fantasy and it probably involves a girl with a bow and arrow, and that's something that I tend to be into. So we'll see. Next I got Genuine Fraud by E. Lockhart. I think this is about two friends or two sisters. I enjoyed We Were Liars. I liked the plot twist. I sort of saw it coming, but not really. So I'm hoping it's another like thriller type mystery like that. Next I got All the Ugly and Wonderful Things by Bryn Greenwood. This is quite a controversial book and there's a lot of sort of talk around it. This is about a young girl, I think who's 8 when the book starts, called Wavy, who is the daughter of I think a drug dealer, and her mum's a bit of a train wreck. And one day she meets this guy called, I think he's called Kellen, who's somebody who works for her dad, and they start a relationship together. Obviously it's a book about paedophilia, but the thing about the book apparently is the way that it's told. It's a very factual book. It doesn't try to manipulate your emotion. It just sort of tells you what's happening, but somehow people end up rooting for the relationship between this adult man and this 8-year-old girl. I'm just kind of really intrigued and want to sort of have my own perspective on it. I also got The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet and A Closed and Common Orbit by Becky Chambers. I know that Julie from Pages and Pens really loves these books, and I haven't read a whole lot of sci-fi, so I am really intrigued, and I've just really heard good things about them. I'm not 100% on the plot, I just know it's about space travel and that they're sort of more like companion novels than a series, so they all follow different sets of characters. And that's all I know. That's all I really want to know, because I didn't know anything about Invictus when I went into it, and that turned out to be really great. So I'm thinking about approaching my books more blind in the future. The next book that I got is Because You Love to Hate Me, which is that big anthology with 13 YouTubers and 13 authors about villains. I think the way that it works is that the booktubers gave the authors a prompt and then they wrote a story about it. I haven't read a short story anthology in a very long time, and I thought I would give this one a go as it's current, because I like to read, like, split up the big books that I read with like little sort of things to just like get my head out of the last book that I read. Like at the minute I'm reading the Walking Dead comics, so I thought I could read like one of those in between books. Next I have They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. This is a brand new release, and it is about a boy or two boys who receive a call from something called Deathcast. And Deathcast is a service that gives you a courtesy call to let you know you're going to die that day. And then the boys go on an app and they're introduced to each other. This app is sort of like a Tinder for dying people, so that people who are dying that day can connect, and I guess it's just about their last day alive together. I feel like it's going to be sad. I hope that there's a plot twist and they don't both die at the end, but I guess I'll see. Next we have Dreamland by Sarah Dessen. I'm not gonna lie, I have no idea what this is about, but I have read quite a few Sarah Dessen books and I kind of want to read them all, and it was super cheap, so I just thought I'd pick it up. Oh, I remember as well, I actually got this one because it's one of the oldest books that I added to my Goodreads to read shelf, and in the new year I'm gonna sort of do a new way of reading books, which I'll tell you about closer to the time, but that's the reason that I picked up this one. Next we had The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue by Mackenzie Lee. This has obviously got a lot of hype on BookTube and probably other places as well. It's not my preferred genre and I'm not super interested in the plot, but I will give it a try. I believe it's about a guy called Monty who goes on this epic road trip like they used to in Europe in like the 1800s or something, and he goes with his best friend Percy and his sister, and he's a bisexual character who has romantic feelings towards his best friend. And it's just about the road trip that he takes before he has to come home and sort of take control of the lands and be the lord of his manor, I assume. And last of all we have Leigh Bardugo's Wonder Woman Warbringer. This I am excited to read. I'm more excited to read Sarah J Maas's sort of superhero book that's coming out. But I like Leigh Bardugo. I don't love superheroes, like I'm not really a fan. I don't like superhero movies, and I don't read superhero comics because there's so many of them, like where would you start? But I'm hoping that these will have more of like a backstory and more of an interesting plot. I don't really know what it's about apart from Wonder Woman. You guys probably know more about Wonder Woman than I do. Okay, so finally that is my 25 books that I bought in September. That took a lot longer than I thought it would. And if you have read any of these books, please let me know what you thought, because most of them I haven't read. That is everything from me today. I hope you've liked this book haul, another ridiculously long with too many books book haul. If you go into the down bar, you can follow me on Instagram, and you can also be my friend on Goodreads. But that's all from me. Please don't forget to subscribe. Bye!